Brett Conaughton,
My
Marketplace
lord.
Sotheby's. Thanks for joining us in the studio again today.
Thank you for having me.
I know your previous sale in Kirkland, obviously
Yes.
a very desirable area. Things sell pretty quickly there because everyone wants to live there. You had other properties, in other counties, other cities that maybe you've seen that same similar success.
Absolutely. So we also had a listing this year, which was one of my favorite listings because the house was over 100 years old. We're up in Everett now. So this is not the same environment that Kirkland is. Like Everett, there were homes and comps that had been sitting for 40, 45 days in a market that inventory was still short. This was in the spring, so you would expect them to move, but there were homes up there that just weren't moving. We had a client from a referral, actually, and referrals, I cannot talk about how amazing referrals are because that's how you know you really connected with your principal.
It's the best compliment you can get from anybody.
100%. A referral is the best compliment you can give your realtor. And basically, she had moved out to Ellensburg, and she's like, look, I've been renting this out for like 18 months. I'm kind of sick of being a landlord. I've been told you're good. Can you guys do this? And immediately, absolutely, we know what's going to happen here. And again, it just leans back to the whole marketplace view of luxury is a service, not a price point. This was not some giant, glorious McMansion or anything else that would sit in Kirkland. This was a over 100-year-old house in Everett, about 5 minutes from the highway. This was not what you would call traditionally Zillow gone wild glamorous. But it was someone's house. And that's all that mattered. It may as well have been the Taj Mahal for us because that's what it takes. That's how you have to treat every single property that you come in contact with because that is someone's Taj Mahal. That is someone's McMansion. That's their home. And so we get the idea of like, all right, so things have been sitting here, so we really need to go above and beyond. So right off the rip, let's go. We walk the property. We see certain things. We bring our stager in. And we're like, all right, let's get a list of everything we can keep, everything we got to get rid of. Let's get this really done up nicely. Because it was one home. It was effectively an open concept kitchen into living room. And it was only about 1,400 square feet. So that's the vast majority of the property is you walk through the door and
that's it.
It's one wall and another wall, and that's it.
Right.
You have the bedrooms, but that's the shit that you need that first curb appeal wow.
Yeah.
We live in a world where, people pick their life partners in 4 seconds on an app. They're going to do the same with a home. You need to wow them in the first 4 to 7 seconds. So we knew staging was going to be the utmost here. So we stage it as best as we can possibly stage it, and it looks gorgeous. Again, we're doing all these touch-ups by hand as well. We're painting up walls, we're cleaning certain things up, sanding certain surfaces down, and cleaning up the backyard. There was kind of a little office space dado in the backyard as well off the garage. And we got it set as best as we possibly could, and we treated it like we would have treated the Kirkland listing at over twice the price point. We treated it the exact same way. It doesn't matter what the number is, it just matters the service that we give, and every house is worth $10 million to us. Doesn't matter if it's worth 400, doesn't matter if it's worth 10 million. That's how we treat it. And sure enough, this is another situation where because of this hard work and because of this effort we put in to really get it ready, price it in a way that we knew it was going to move, but we knew it was the strongest price point we could get, right in that little break of like market value to aspirational, because we knew it was going to move. And sure enough, 5 days on market, 8 offers. Went for 65K over asking, so about 12% over asking.
That's amazing.
Yes, and that was, again, as kind of the open house guy, as someone who sits all the opens and walks through them, I used to do a sign-in sheet on my open house, like an old school sign-in sheet. I ran out of paper.
Oh, wow.
We had something like 35 people in over the course of a day and a half, basically, and one of them bought it on site from that open. And that's just, and she literally said, she goes, this doesn't look 115 years old. I can see myself here. I can see my boyfriend here. Her mom and her dad and her in-laws all came in and they were just like, this is fantastic. How old is this?
Yeah.
And that just shows like when you really sit down and put forth the effort and you take the time. And we're devoting weekends, weeknights. I live in Kirkland. Driving up to Everett is not necessarily the easiest task
Not
occasionally.
ideal, no.
It's not the best sometimes, but that's what it takes. That's what it took. Yeah, it's what you have to do. And anyone who says like, oh, I can't make it up there for that, that's just not an acceptable answer to me. So we took the time, we took the effort, we made it look good, and we set the new comp for the neighborhood. We moved quick, we worked hard, and we got that house off the market quick, and everybody was happy. Wow. We had a first-time home buyer come in, and this isn't the peak where rates are easily over 7. Yeah. And this was we were like, that's the one thing that worried us is we're like, what's gonna happen? Yeah. And 8 offers, and it went to a first-time home buyer. Wow.
That's great. That's what we want to hear, right?
Yes.
It's getting those first-time homebuyers out there and seeing the success and know that it is a possibility. Because I know in certain markets, there's a lot of activity and a lot of offers, and first-time homebuyers are getting so beat up,
Yes.
and obviously they're having to work with those higher interest rates and those higher payments. So to hear the success of that is incredible.
Yes.
What's the lead time that you guys need from, the blank canvas that you see when you come into a property like this to, getting and hitting the market and being ready to go? I mean, you need a couple weeks or...
I mean, we can do it. There's certain vendors and availability that we need. Our stager is exceptional, and we kind of live and die by her in certain situations. And she's very highly sought after, but she's absolutely worth it. But because of that, I feel like we could do it in 2 weeks if we needed to. If you're like, I need this on the market next week, if the availability is there for all the vendors, we can make that happen.
Wow.
That's where I'm on the phone day and night trying to figure out, okay, I need this by this day, I need this by this day, I need this by this day, I need my photos here, I need my staging, I need to go in and clean up XYZ thing. We need to get all your stuff put away either into storage or into your new place if you've bought. So we can move quick if we need to move quick. We're here for you. We don't dictate the timeline in the end, you do. We're just there to make sure it works and we get it done every time.
I love it. Professional service, luxury at every price point. I mean, you guys just hit a home run. Every listing it seems that you guys are getting. So keep up the great work.
Yes, absolutely. It's been so much fun, and I get so much out of it just as someone who I love to throw my all at things, and this has allowed me, especially these two situations, have allowed me to be like, let me run at the wall. Yeah. I've got it.
And I love that you door knock around your listings too.
Yes.
Invite the neighbors. And didn't you get a listing appointment from that too?
I did, yes.
That's incredible.
This was at a third listing, actually. We were up in Mukilteo. We were over, Scott and Wendy are delightful people. And basically, we were listing a home in Mukilteo. And I, to start off, was just looking for ways to get in front of neighbors. I was a newer agent at the time. And I knew Mukilteo kind of well. I'd been around plenty of times, but I was like, all right, how do I make this pop? Again, you're looking at a home that's over 100 years old. How are we going to make this really pop and make someone come in here and really want it? And the first thing I thought of was, I love talking. That's why we're here.
You're so good.
And I was like, put me in front of people. And I went, all right. So I printed out 50 flyers and I knocked 75 doors.
Wow.
And basically went through, told every single neighbor the situation, told them, hey, we're looking to sell. And the more people that come in at an open house, and mind you, this is why nosy neighbors are fantastic. Right. The more people that are in an open house, the busier the open house is in general. It's a good chance if you have a family member that you want to move in there, or you have someone from out of town, I got a friend, I'm trying to move here. I've looked at the house myself, I can vouch for you type of situation.
Yep.
But just seeing the amount of people in an open house tends to instill a sense of urgency in some things, because one of those parties is going to be interested.
Yeah,
it's just the way the stats move. And so I door knocked and talked to an individual, and he goes, oh, okay, I'll stop by. I'm doing the open house. I will always do my open houses. I love my open houses. And sure enough, in he walks. And I show him around, and he goes, I've got questions. And we've had a big situation this year with the NAR settlements and the 2 lawsuits against them, and kind of how that's all been panning out. And he goes, so my wife and I are kind of looking to sell and kind of looking to buy, but there's questions I have. And this was earlier on in the open, so it was a little bit quiet at that point in time. We were super busy almost right afterwards. People started coming in, but I pulled up a chair. I said, sit down, let's talk. And I gave him my undivided attention and just let him talk, ask the questions he didn't know he knew. I don't believe in stupid questions. The only stupid question to me is this a dumb question? Because the answer is no. Everything is a smart question, because you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
And the worst thing you can do, especially when it comes to something like home buying, this isn't what do I want off the menu. This is a big purchase. Ask every question. That's why I love doing these series of like, ask a lender, ask an agent. It's what's there for. It's meant to be the dumb questions that people might feel embarrassed to ask. But we sat down and talked for about 25 minutes, and he goes, I want you to come by this week.
That's amazing.
Walked in we're going to golf next week.
Nice.
I love him. He's fantastic.
Nice.
Him and his wife are looking to move to Hawaii.
Oh.
And what we're doing right now is I'm putting together reports for him from all the different communities that he's interested in Hawaii. Nice. I'm calling agents that are local and saying, all right, I have someone, but they want to do their due diligence before anything else.
Sure.
I'm going what I feel is above and beyond to sit there and be like, look, I can give you market reports on each of these different neighborhoods, expenses, locations, condos, homes, and make them feel like they're pros somewhere over 1,000 miles away probably.
Yep.
And they know what the market's going to look like. And so when they are ready to finally move, they're ready. They know exactly where they're going. They're going to know the building they want to go to by the time we're done.
Wow.
So yeah, and that was all for Door Knock. And that's one of the most fulfilling relationships I've had in this industry so far because they are fantastic people. And I'm so excited that I get to be of service to them. So yeah, it's
amazing.
Door knocking works sometimes.
It's powerful, really powerful. I mean, I know it's not easy to do. Like I couldn't imagine going and knock on people's doors, but when you're so good at it and you can talk to people the way that you do, it's natural, it's believable, you instill trust in them, and that's instrumental when it comes to gaining their trust.
It was terrifying though. I will admit, it was not something that came super easily or fluidly. Like door knocking is terrifying. Yeah. I was lucky. I had an open house. I had something to promote. Yeah. But like I remember the days of door-to-door insect repellent salesmen or security system people, and I was the kid who just slammed the door in their face. And now that I'm doing it, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is hard. Yeah. I got really lucky. Shout out to Brad Davis. Brad, thank you so much. Brad allowed me to practice on him for probably 2.5 hours before I did this, so that I at least knew how to act in door knocking because I was terrified. Yeah. And that practice led into something that I still do. Every time I have an open house, I'm knocking doors if I can.
I'm just trying to get overcoming those objections, right? Just to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of times you don't even have to talk about real estate sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes someone just wants to be asked, hey, like, how's your day?
How you doing? Yeah.
How you doing?
It's that easy.
And sometimes someone's like, thanks for asking. I've had a really crappy day. Yeah. Other times they're like, why are you on my doorstep? And I go, that's a good question. Just really quickly. Yeah. Here's what we got. Here's what I'm here for. Yeah. But awesome. Thank you, Matt.
Well, thanks for sharing your story. I really appreciate that. It was awesome.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, Brett.